So I have this pattern that calls for a 68 peg loom, but I only have a 24 peg loom. So can I still do the pattern?
Yep.
Really?
Yes. Let me take it out. It's recording.
Because I just clicked record.
So do I start?
You start over. Your hello.
Hey guys, it's Denise from loomahad.com, and on this video I want to talk to you about 5 important facts every beginner should know about knitting looms. Alright, we're going to start with 3 definitions first before we do anything else. What are those 3 definitions? I want to make sure that you know what a peg is. So this right here, this little guy, the standing little soldiers, they are pegs. And when I say gauge, I want you to understand that it is the space between one peg and another. That space is the gauge of the loom. And when we talk about the base of the loom, it's this part right here, which is where your pegs are fastened. So pegs, gauge, base. Let's start with fact number 1. And even though most people will use the most important fact last, I'm going to tell it to you first, because if you only hear one thing I'm saying, this is what I want you to hear. Fact number 1, peg count is not loom size. They're not one and the same. So how do I show you this? This loom has 30 pegs and this one has 24. But if we put them one on top of the other, the base is exactly the same size. That is going to be the size. This is what's going to determine the size of your finished product. So it doesn't matter if you have 50 pegs here. If the base size is the same, they are interchangeable. So a pattern that calls for this size loom with 30 pegs is okay for you to substitute and use this 24 peg loom. And so here you have 2 finished products, one on the 30 and one on the 24, and you can see that there's very little difference. The only difference is this one is going to have a tighter stitch.
Which one is going to have a tighter stitch?
The higher peg count is going to be the tighter stitch. Fact number 2, stitch can determine size as much as a loom can determine size. What do I mean? Here I have a little hat that was done on a 24 peg loom, and it has 25 rows. Here I have a hat made on a 24 peg loom with also 25 rows. They are exactly the same product, the same yarn, the same pattern on the same loom. What is the difference? Well, it's the stitch effect. That's what I call it. This is done with a U-wrap knit stitch, and this is done with an E-wrap knit stitch. So your choice of stitch can determine the size of your finished product just as much as your loom. And so it's always a good idea to test certain stitches out before you make the decision to make them, and understand that it's not always your loom's fault that your hat turned out too small. Fact number 3, row count is not the same as peg count. So you were told to use 4 pegs and to knit 5 rows. These things are not interchangeable. And the idea that adding more rows is going to give you a bigger product is incorrect. What gives you a bigger product is more surface. So you can continue to add all the rows you want to a hat. It's not going to make this loom give you an adult hat. This is a small loom. It's usually used for babies, and you can just go on and on and on and on and on, and all you're going to get is an infinity scarf, but definitely not an adult loom. So don't confuse rows with peg count. Fact number 4, shape determines your finished product. No, no, no. All right, here's a good example. You have an oval loom, right? This is actually a sock loom, and as you and I both know, socks are not oval, they are round. And your finished product on this oval loom will be round. So you can make flat square, and other shapes that don't match the shape of your loom. It's all about pattern design and learning how to use your loom in different ways. And another thing that I want you to understand that is if you're knitting flat, which means back and forth and not around, you can knit flat on any shape loom, on any peg size, on any type. So shape does not determine, the shape of the loom does not determine always the shape of your finished product. Last but not least is odd numbered loom versus even numbered looms. So there's this misunderstanding that say this has 27 pegs, then if I have a pattern that is even, I can't use it. No. This is very common when folks are doing rib stitch. A rib stitch is a knit one, purl one, and say you have a 41 peg loom, what do? Right? Because you have this extra peg that is a problem. All you need to do with that extra peg is either do an extra knit or an extra purl and you're done. You can't tell. That extra knit or that extra purl is just going to be lost in those other 40 stitches that you did before you got to it. So don't worry about it, but if it does bother you for any reason, then make that extra knit the back part of your hat. And there you have it. That's it. Alright, there are some patterns that specifically call for an odd numbered loom. For instance, the spiral hat pattern that I have on my site. That pattern needs an odd numbered loom. However, that pattern has been adjusted by one of our readers, Lisa Warner Hauser, was nice enough to adjust the pattern to fit an even numbered loom, and it will still work. So in some cases, yes, that is an issue as far as an odd numbered loom, and for them you may have to adjust the pattern. This is rare, and so for that reason you try not to worry too much about it. Maybe having an extra loom is helpful. So those are my 5 facts I think every new loom knitter should know. I hope they were useful, and if they were, let me know. If you have other things you want me to talk about, please make sure to leave me a comment on the description or in the comment section, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on my website. So thanks a lot, and until next time, stay fresh, keep loom knitting. Bye.
Bye. You should call this 5 loom knitting tricks and myths and tricks.